What is good, NIO family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only NIO stock, what you should be looking after for the future. I'm also going to break down why on earth tomorrow is going to be yet again another massive day for the markets for NIO based off what's happening with the GDP reports and also some earnings that are coming out that are going to be massive. So all of this news, all this data is going to affect not just the markets, the stock market and NIO, but also our overall economy and big things like that. Now, before I break anything down about why on earth this is so big and everything you need to know for tomorrow, I do have to mention a couple of things real quick. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner, so don't take any of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire NIO community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you're guaranteed 10 free stocks, each worth up to $2,500. And you could always sell these 10 free stocks for cash and use that cash to buy some NIO shares for free. It's a limited time offer. It ends in just 4 days. Check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So NIO is up about 1.79% for the day. Let's go. And I did tell you guys that if the market did see a 75 basis point rate hike, the market could see a bounce and actually respond kind of positively to this. And I did predict that NIO could actually push up a bit. And that is what it kind of ended up happening. Now, for tomorrow, though, there are some different nuances that may end up affecting NIO and the markets going forward too, because tomorrow we have the GDP report. Now, just to kind of remind you guys, the Q1 GDP that came out was negative, right? And now we have Q2 coming out for tomorrow. If we get 2 consecutive negative GDP quarters, that would be a key indication of a recession. Does it 100% guarantee it? Not necessarily, but by definition, that is what a recession almost always is. And historically, when we've seen this, this meant a recession was here. Now, what essentially happened today that was very big is the market could actually respond either way to this, depending on how you want to interpret this. So what happened today was Jerome Powell raised the federal funds rates by 75 basis points. That's what the whole Fed ended up doing. Let me actually pull this up right here. And what happened was the market actually responded positively to this. And we ended up seeing a bit of a bounce because this was already priced in. And Jerome Powell, who was actually speaking, he ended up actually saying some very positive things for the markets. He was very careful with his words. And as a result, he was asked things such as, what is his future trajectory going to be? He mentioned that it's just going to be based off data. He was very careful not to really throw anything out of the water. So that's how Powell is historically. That's what he ended up doing again. Now, when he was asked, okay, if we do get a negative GDP report for tomorrow, that's 2 negative GDPs in a row, would you consider this a recession? And Jerome Powell ended up kind of responding that it's not his job to really answer that question. He wouldn't consider it one. I mean, that's just what he said. And he mentioned that because he felt like the overall economy is not in as bad of a state as people think. He thinks that right now the job market is doing very well. And he thinks that the labor force is still strong. So in his eyes, if we do start to see unemployment go up, which could actually happen later on as we're starting to see a lot of tech companies starting to lay off employees, that would be the sign of a recession. I mean, almost all the indications are there. I mean, we can't really just sway away from this. And I know Powell was trying very hard to not kind of like cause the markets to crash or anything like that, because this is his world. He came from the markets before he became the Fed chairman. So with that said, I mean, you can't just really believe everything he says, at least to a T. But at the same time, I mean, he said what he had to say. He tried to keep us afloat, and it worked. And as of right now, the markets do look like they want to continue to push up. If we look at SPY, this is what's very interesting. If I bring up the EMAs, look at the historical data on the daily chart. All right. Typically, when we get these 1348 EMA crossovers, especially when we're like starting to push up, what generally happens is the SPY makes a nice move to the upside. Now, considering that the markets aren't as strong right now compared to before, I don't expect this upside move to be as crazy to like all-time highs. You can see right here, we got a 1348 EMA crossover when the SPY was at like 447. It pushed all the way up to about 460 before seeing another crossover down, and then it pushed all the way down. And we've been seeing this thing respecting a downtrend overall. But right now, we're getting very close to this 1348 EMA crossover right here. They're almost there to the call side. So that could be a bullish indicator. And I would be confident typically that, yeah, it looks like the SPY wants to run. The only problem with making this claim is there are additional pieces of data that could affect the SPY and the overall market. And the reason I talk about the SPY and the NASDAQ, I think the NASDAQ looks relatively similar too. I'm not sure. See that the NASDAQ almost has this 1348 EMA crossover too. So my point is, I'm talking about this because the SPY, the NASDAQ, the overall market is like an anchor. If the market tanks overall, NIO could actually get dragged down with it. If the market rallies, NIO could get pushed up with it. So NIO right now, it did drop for some time, but now it's starting to kind of like hold these levels. It's trying to push up a little bit. And if the overall market pushes up, NIO is going to push up with it most likely. So that's really what we have to see. Now, I'm also very cautious when talking about why I'm a little bit more in favor of the green than the red for tomorrow. I'm more cautious because there are a lot of big things coming. Right now, Meta had their earnings. They actually missed on their earnings report. Now, Microsoft also missed on their earnings, and the market actually responded positively. So Meta also missed. If I actually show you the numbers, they were a little short on their earnings per share, a little short on revenue. So they did miss, but to some degree on their EPS, but they weren't that off on their revenue. But this is one of the first times they actually missed during Q2 in many, many years. So Meta missed. We saw this big drop in the markets. Maybe the markets are a little bit red right now. So I'm not necessarily convinced we're just going to start dropping tomorrow. We also have GDP, and that's what makes me a lot more on the cautious side. All right. So if GDP comes out negative, the market could just not care if they interpret this as not being the true 100% indication that, yeah, we're in a recession. But if the markets choose to interpret this as, oh, we had two negative GDP quarters. When we're seeing some layoffs from big companies, we're in a recession, the whole market could tank. So it's really a matter of kind of interpretation. I still am a little bit more in favor of the bullish side though from a technical standpoint. We also have Apple and Amazon reporting earnings tomorrow after the bell. So after the market closes, Apple and Amazon are going to report earnings. If they do decent, we should be okay. But if we hypothetically end up seeing them, taking a massive, massive hit. If both Apple and Amazon miss by a long shot, it is possible for the whole market to take a hit because these are multi-trillion-dollar giants. So with that said, tomorrow is a huge day. We have big earnings. We have the GDP report. This is really, the big indication of whether or not we're in a recession. Could you argue that it guarantees it 100%? Not necessarily, but it's extremely likely we'd be in one if we get that consecutive negative GDP report. If we look at housing right now, during these recessions, these like highlighted periods, we tend to see the supply go up because demand drops. And what's happening right now is we're seeing this big demand. I'm sorry, the demand is decreasing because the supply is going up. And what's happening is people are losing interest in buying homes right now because mortgages are going up as the federal funds rate has been going up too. So this is another sign that we may be in a recession, or we're already in one, or we're about to enter one soon. So with that said, will the market kind of like crash because of that? We kind of knew this already, so I don't know if that's going to be the case, but I am warning you to be very, very cautious for tomorrow. And in terms of the price prediction, I want to talk about something important. NIO is now in a very key zone. I want to actually highlight this area. Let me close the EMAs. Let me get this to close. So this is why it's very important, okay? NIO has been kind of trading sideways over the last couple of days. And let me actually redraw two different key zones. So we have 1875 being our big support. Let me make this like blue so it's a little easier to see. And then we have, just to draw this out for you, resistance at around 19.5. So I hope you guys can see these two lines. Let me make them much bigger. Just pay attention to these two blue lines. I know there could be other ones. It's a little hard to see. And NIO has been just trading back and forth between these massive blue lines right here, back and forth. And we have some support at this one right here. But you could see NIO's just been bouncing back and forth and back and forth. Tomorrow, I expect the same unless we get a bit of a breakout with the overall market. So we're either going to just push up to like 19.5, kind of like drop a bit down here to this line, come down to 18.75, then kind of come back like this and continue like this, or we can get a nice push up and maybe a bit of a break out of this zone if the market does allow this thing to push up like this. And if we do manage to break 19.5, then we should start testing 19.75. And if we could break that, we could actually start testing 20 very, very soon. So just to be more optimistic, I wouldn't be surprised if we actually get a close in the high 19s. I'm just giving you guys my prediction. I do expect some crazy volatility, but I don't want to guarantee this to you because it's dependent on data too. The market could still take a big hit because of the GDP report. The market may even act kind of choppy because of how Meta's earnings came out to be, not to mention the fact that we have Apple and Amazon reporting earnings for tomorrow. So with that said, we have a lot of big things coming for the market. Tomorrow is going to be a big day. I'm still a little bit more in favor of a more bullish move for the market than a bearish move because of technical indicators. And with that out of the way, be prepared for anything. And I want to just end this video by talking about what NIO put on their Twitter page. And you can see right here, NIO tweeted that NIO Life is also about the people. Teamwork is key in everything we do. So I want to end by saying this, okay? Look, the market's not perfect right now. Maybe the market will take hits. NIO is still a great company, even if we see this thing drop, because they have amazing customer service. They're all about their customers, their people. They have amazing technology. And for the long-term future, their expansion and the different, lives that they change for their people, from allowing people to actually go into their cafes, going into like their different shops and so on and so forth. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And I really think that their brand is going to get bigger as years go on. I'm still very bullish for the long term. For the short term, I do expect more sideways actions and choppy price action. Maybe a bit of a push up going into tomorrow. Maybe. I can't guarantee that. But it's dependent on data. I know. I know the short term is just kind of shocking and kind of weird for the markets. The long term is going to be much brighter. So with that said, I want to thank you all for listening. Please have a great rest of the day. I hope I brought some value into your guys' lives, and I'll see you guys in the next one. NIO to the moon, and peace out.